Hey, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we'll be talking to local experts to learn ways we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. To keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come, remember to protect what you pursue. Summer fishing is fired up with warm water and hungry fish moving into the bay. So let's hear who's making the show possible, and then we'll jump into the reports. Listen up. AFTCO has a promotional gift for all Great Days Outdoors Podcast Network listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For those cold, wet, or windy days, I especially enjoy my weatherproof fabric barricade jacket, as well as my helm insulated fishing gloves. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918. You'll get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. Boaters know that the unexpected can happen anytime. That's why Sea-Tow offers 24/7 on-water assistance with priority service for members. Whether it's a dead battery, running out of fuel, or needing a tow, Sea-Tow's fleet is ready to help. Membership includes unlimited towing with no distance or dollar limits in your home area, fuel delivery, jump starts, and more. Plus, members receive exclusive discounts on fuel, electronics, dockage, and boat insurance. With over 500 ports nationwide, Sea-Tow has you covered wherever you boat. Join today at seatow.com and boat with confidence. All right, you guys, welcome to this week's show. I'm excited to bring back a newer guest of the show, Captain Trip Seed with Bay Roma Charters and the Dr. Dre. Welcome back to the show, Cap. How are we doing tonight?
Good. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. It was good to see you out there at the Hooked on Hope celebration of the season event there with all the guys, Robbie Bryan, Eric Myers on Heads and Tails, of course, Robbie Real Release, Josh Bourne on Wingman Guide Service. I'm sure there were several others there. But man, Mike does such a great job. You guys walked away with several cool prizes too. I don't know if it was you or somebody else next to you that had a nice new combo.
Yeah, we won that. One of those fish arts, the burning ones. The guy did. I won that too, and yeah, it's a cool event. That's something new Mike did for us this year, and it's just he's a little bit of appreciation he gives to us for what we do, but like we don't do it for the recognition or the money or anything. We just do it
Yeah.
because cancer hit close to me. I lost my wife in 22 to cancer, so
Yeah.
um, and she actually had the same cancer that Mike's daughter had. So that's what kind of got me into it, and to be able to do stuff like that, get with everybody, and just have a good night. Even some of the families were there, and
Yeah,
you
that
know,
was that was
and
really cool. Get to hear straight from the families who've benefited, who are dealing with pediatric cancer in their family, and then benefited from Hooked on Hope. And then who knew Josh could preach, man? That guy got up
yeah,
there and just riffed. It was
yeah,
awesome. And did I hear correctly? So was it him to you guys or you to him that somebody did somebody's wedding?
he did my wedding. Yeah, this
Okay,
last May he did mine. Yeah, he introduced me and my wife. She was actually on a charter with him,
that's right.
her mom, and like some family friends that Josh had like known for years, and he introduced us, and we started dating and them getting married. So we were like, "Hey, Josh, why don't you introduce us? Why don't you marry us?" And
No
he
pressure.
got up, yeah, he got up there, and he killed it too. I always joke with him because he forgot to tell everybody to sit down, so everybody was standing during his whole part. You know,
That's so funny you say that because that has happened. I used to DJ weddings back in the day, and I watched that happen so many times with
yeah,
folks that are newer to doing weddings because it's a very nerve-wracking experience. And I had the honor of marrying two different couples. One of my former coworkers and one of my very good friends, Mike Manning, Fish Ninja, and his beautiful wife Jordan, and their new baby boy. But man, it's you get up there and it's like as soon as things start and you realize like, okay, I'm now responsible for marrying these two people. And they're going to remember this for the rest of their life. Like, boom, the pressure sets in, and it's
yeah,
like the last thing you're like, I'm focused on my words and what I got to say. And telling
yeah,
people to sit down is one of the last things that you think about. But anyways,
yeah.
back to the,
I was whispering to him. I was like, "Josh, everybody sit down," and he was like, "Oh yeah, y'all can sit down." Like, like a couple minutes into it, so it was fun. It was a good time though. It was it was kind of like it was kind of informal. We did it outside and at Cape Charles, and it was he can definitely you give him a mic in front of people, man.
no
He can wing
problem.
it, yeah, wing it from the hip, and like he did that night, and
Is that
yeah,
why
that
his
was
charter is called Wingman
yeah,
Guide
yeah,
Service?
yeah, play on there. I didn't mean it, but yeah, he's a good dude. That was a fun night. And I feel
Oh, it
like
was.
that hook on hope thing keeps growing every year. Like the mackerel tournament, like I always told Mike, I'm like, hey, I want to. My goal was one day to have 100 boats in that thing. I think we've had like upwards of 50, 60 the last couple of years, and this year the weather wasn't even good, and we still had a lot. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think we can. I think we can get there for sure.
it's only going to keep growing, and I think for two reasons. One, it's such a fun event, and the way that Mike puts it together, there's nonstop good times. There's raffles, there's great food, there's music, all that, and then of course the cause. Like it's such a great cause. Like you can put all that stuff together and then great people, and we have such a great community. That's one of the things I loved about the other night was just being there, and like the energy was so good because
Yeah,
everybody's got big hearts, they care about each other. They'd give you the shirt off their back, and then you got Mike, who's kind of just like the sort of unspoken mayor. No offense to the mayor of 63rd, Mr. Ryan
yeah,
Porter. But he's just kind of like the unspoken mayor of our fishing community, just bringing it all together and keep helping everybody keep the main thing, which I think is awesome.
yeah,
So
yeah. I can still remember the first trip I did for him. It was 2019, I think it was
yeah,
18, 19, somewhere around in there. And I think he was just getting started. There's only a few of us doing it, and now it's like he's asking me like in January, hey, give me some dates for the summer so I can get people, get you lined up for the summer. So we shoot him a bunch of dates, and he makes it happen. I do a couple in the fall here, but the summer's our main time. And my biggest Kobe this year came on a Hook on Hope trip.
did it really?
Yep, 61 inches straight out of right off the rocks, Little Creek. I was coming out, barely got up on plane. I slowed down and swam right across the boat. We caught the fish,
Boom.
and they didn't know what they caught. I was like, man, that's a fish of a lifetime for most people. It was big.
Yeah,
Fought it for like almost an hour. I was trying to let it go, but it couldn't. The guy didn't know what he was doing. I mean,
yeah.
I was like, just let him fight it. And yeah, my biggest Kobe this year, my biggest red ever was 57 inches or 56 inches just caught on a hook on hope trip. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. That's really
those trips
cool.
that ain't you have no pressure, and it's like when you catch like big fish or a lot of fish. I've been skunked on a few, but they're all it's like there's no pressure, and we got here and we
Yeah.
catch a 56-inch drum, and
Right. They're there
the
for the
dad,
experience, and their
yeah,
expectations are just to have fun versus like you're paying charter that's like, hey, we're salty dogs. We want to come out here and catch
yeah,
fish. And then like the pressure's on. But that does kind of like, there's something to learn there. That's like when the stress is low and the pressure is low, we somehow like perform or
yeah. It's
there's something
Yeah, I
there.
always say like I told like my good clients that I have, like friends and stuff that come out. I'm like, I'll have my worst days with them, and I'm like, it always happens this way. Like the guys that I really want to like, man,
Do
not
well.
just I'm not doing it for the money or because I just want because they're like these people I've known for years. I'm like, I want to put them on fish weather and we'll catch like two cobia. Then like somebody just I don't know have no idea who they are. We'll come out there and we'll catch 20. Like
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
if they're 15 or something. It's this is how it goes. So
That's so true. When you're relaxed, everything just like your communication smoother, your bait delivery is smoother. It's like you're just kind of like more in a flow state versus like when the stress is high. And I'm in my head, I'm always going back to golf because it kind of runs parallel in terms of like your ability to execute has a lot to do with how like calm and collected you are, so to speak. But
yeah,
at any rate, so last time we had you on the show, we were talking about this trolling motor that you had just put on Dr. Dre, which is named after your wife, Andrea, who is a doctor, a veterinary doctor. Am I remembering all this correctly?
yep,
Okay.
yep.
So you just put the trolling motor on, and now you've had a chance to go out and do some rec trips. So tell us about, first of all, quick reminder what kind of boat you run, and then tell us a little bit about some of these recent rec trips, and then I want to kind of pick your brain on how some of that went.
Yeah, I have a 32. It's a topaz hull that they custom built. They stretched it up to a. It was a 28. They stretched it 32, so has a the tunnel hull on it. I call it like a mini express kind of a style boat is what I call it. So I put the Garmin Kraken 110 on it, with a 36 volt. I put a single 36 volt 100 amp hour. Uh, Honestly, a battery I got off Amazon. It was like I think it's the DC House battery. Um,
Yeah.
Cost like I think $600. I think is what it's costing me. Um, and I've looked at some of those batteries. They go all the way up to like 2-3 grand. And I said, let me just try this out to see what it how it works. And this past week I went Sunday, Monday, and I only used 30% of the battery in 2 days. I only charged it before I went out there, and I had like 98% to start with. And I came in yesterday, I had 70% still. So, and I was out fishing 6 hours. probably, and I probably had the motor in the water 5 hours both days, holds me on different wrecks and
Wow.
um, yeah,
That's
different wrecks and
that's saying something, especially, my recent experience with a battery was in an eight-seater golf cart, and it's kind of comical. Zach and Brittany Castro got married on the 27th, and I volunteered to run a golf cart around, and it was pouring down rain that night. It was beautiful for the wedding, and then of course that Saturday night it started pouring down rain. Sand Bridge just got completely flooded, and I was running some guests back, and it was like I had like 56% battery. And this is the difference between like your traditional battery and your lithium. But yeah, long story short, on my way back, the battery went from like 50% to 30 to 7 to 0, and then next thing I know, I'm caught in the middle of the Sam
dead.
Fiddler Road and having to
Yeah,
like charge the golf cart off of like a neighbor's house and beg for beer. But it
yeah,
all worked out. I met some great folks. So yeah, shout out
yeah,
to the Corlises. That family was fantastic. Just took me in, served me beer, brownies, and ice cream. We watched football. It was like we are all old friends. But the big difference between the old style battery and these lithiums in terms of like their discharge is like you get if like the horsepower was 0 to 100, you get 100 horsepower discharge the whole way until it's finally just straight up on E. Is that kind of the way that
yeah. I believe
you?
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about these batteries. Like I said, I bought one and just bought this one to because I don't feel like spending 2 grand. I spent, you know, upwards of $7,000 on a trolling motor. I'm like, I'm not going to throw another two into it.
Right.
So I was like, let me just try it. If it lasts me a couple of years, I'll buy another one in a couple of years, And I've been impressed with it. It holds me. I mean, right, every spot I've gone to, it holds me. Like I don't like on the remote, I guess is what it's called. The
Yeah.
remote that it comes with. It says like how far you're from your destination, your distance, and I look at it sometimes. It says like 0 or 1 foot from where I'll mark it at.
Wow.
Um, so I've used the big motor right around and I'll stop and try to hold me in a position to hit spot lock and it holds me there. I mean, I don't move much
Right.
when it with that boat. Some swells, and the currents out there is a little bit different in the bay, um, but it holds me. But only thing it does, it takes it a minute to if I hit spot lock just because that boat's so big and moves.
Yeah.
It takes it a minute to get back to the spot I locked it on. It's like
Right.
that's like my only complaint if there is one and it's
Yeah.
not even really a complaint. I tell everybody like hold on to your bait till we're within 5 feet, and then I tell them to drop it down. So
Well, that alone is a tip in terms of like how close to what you see on your bottom machine you need to be, in the fish zone, so to speak. But when you're trying to get, spot locked, are you positioning the boat kind of like down current, downwind, so you're kind of nose into that stuff? Are
yeah,
you being real okay? Because I
yeah,
know like
it'll move like if I it'll put the nose into the current wherever you spot lock it at, so the boat will
okay,
swing around if like to put the stern in the current like on the back side of the current. So we'll do that sometimes. I try to get the boat in the nose in the current when I start.
right,
Um, because like you said, I mean, it's some of those spots we were fishing, like one side of the boat, the port side was catching fish, the starboard side was not,
Hmm,
you know, like this weekend. So like
that's
we were
interesting.
catching, yeah, and we're just, I'm still kind of new to the whole wreck game. Like I know where they're at. I mean, they're not hard to find the wrecks out there, and so I'm kind of bouncing around, just kind of exploring a little bit, at different ones out there. And obviously the windmill bases, just stop a few of those.
Yeah,
And but not every one of them has fish on it either. Like I've
right,
learned that. Like I'll go to one, and we'll catch 10 or 12. When I've been going out there like lately with some friends and stuff, like I don't stay on one. If we start catching some fish here, let's go try another one. We don't sit there and try to
yeah,
catch our 60 fish on one of them.
right.
So we'll go to another one, and then that one we won't catch anything. We won't catch anything in 15, 20 minutes. We pack up and go somewhere else.
Hmm,
I say catch anything. We catch. There's fish on all of them, but they're small.
right.
Some of them are small. And then some of them we caught. One we stopped at yesterday, we caught like 10 fish that were all over 18 inches. That were
Wow. Sea
solid fish.
bass.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you just keep moving around till you find different spots, different wrecks, and like I've bounced around a couple different ones, and we caught a bunch of sea bass. The triggerfish are out there too. That seemed like there's a ton of those out there, and some big ones. Um,
Yeah, I see in your dock shot a couple of triggerfish that have some nice bellies on them, but I mean in total, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 nice
yeah,
sized triggerfish. And I mean, anyone listening that has not eaten triggerfish, I mean, sea bass obviously is delightful, but
yeah,
triggerfish is kind of in another class of its own in terms of just like dense, white, clean,
Yeah.
delicious, delicious meat. Now, I'm curious. So you get out there, you get on a wreck. I'm assuming you've got like a Garmin style
Hmm.
plotter with
Yep.
the relief shading where you can kind of like see the wreck.
Yeah, and I use my Navionics on my phone too,
Okay.
because that's where I have them marked, and then I'll I'll look at it and I'll put the waypoints in my
Plotter.
plotter, and then I'll use like kind of the Navionics because I'll be sometimes I'll be standing on the bow looking at where I'm at on the wreck, or
Right.
if I'm like looking at the screen to see the bottom, I
Yeah.
keep it and I use my phone too. So
That's smart.
um,
And I'm curious, like with your sonar, when you're starting to look at the wreck, like you got it located on your Navionics or your machine. I see what you're saying. Like if you might have to go into like split screen or something like that, or have your phone separately.
yeah.
Do you do anything with your actual sonar in terms of like your gain? Do you go out of auto? Do you leave it in auto? Do you do anything like that to get
Yeah,
it
I just
better
leave it in
image?
auto. One thing I'm going to do this off season is upgrade my transducer. I got one of the older style through
Mm,
holes. It's a Garmin through hole, but it's one of the first like GTs they came out with, I believe.
okay.
And I know I had the GT 56 on my Judge, and that one was super clear.
Yeah.
They may even have a new one out by by springtime when I do it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't really look for the fish marks. I marked some of them with that one. It is like I said, it's not as good as the new ones are.
Right.
I'm mainly looking for the structures when I'm on. When
Got
I'm
it.
on that chart plot, you can see where it goes from like 75 feet to 90 feet, and then like I'm like, okay, this is where the structure is, and you'll
Got it.
see some marks on there, and I'll stop, and then we'll drop down, and if we start catching fish, we'll stay there. If not, I'll move like maybe 5 feet up, or move around a little bit of that piece. I
Yeah.
mean, some of the wrecks I've been to have been pretty big, so it's like I'll go to like each corner pretty much
Right.
and try that, and just drop it down, and when you get a bite, reel it up.
There they
What we've been
are.
doing, and it's it's like offshore croaker fishing, it's like what it is,
That's a good way of putting it. And the
you
sea
know.
bass are pretty, you know, straightforward in terms of catching them. I mean, you can use just about anything, a jig,
Yeah. Hmm.
some loop knots with a couple, three or four hooks and a weight at the bottom. And they seem to eat just about anything, whether that's
Yeah.
gulps or squid or cut bait. But I'm curious, these triggerfish, they're a little bit different, bite to
Yeah.
get. So what are you changing in your tackle setup?
I've been catching those on the sea bass rigs. Like the
Okay.
three. I use like 3 or 4 hooks, and in the weights, I've been varying from 6 ounce to 10 ounces. Some people I've talked to, I've been picking some guys' brains like, what do y'all use like weight size out there and hook size and everything. And some people are like, I'll use like a 3 to a 5, and then I'm like, well, I'm using a 10 ounce, and they're like that. That's just kind of overkill. And but then I went to a 6 and a 5 and a 8 this weekend, and that kind of worked too. And I was using a 5/0 hook the past couple of days, and just squid and cobia belly. I keep the cobia bellies for this.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
do little chunks of those, and
Yep.
whatever I had in my freezer the other day, I brought. Like I had a bluefish that I had cut up for bait. I had some finger mullet. I had um, what else I have in there? I don't know. I caught the biggest one yesterday. I think it was 21 inches. I caught it on a half a finger mullet.
Okay.
I cut him in half and hooked him on there and dropped it down, and they ate it. So
Boom. There you go. I
yeah,
know like
squid seed.
with jigs, I think they vary from like 60, 80, 110, 130. So I'm like doing some calculation here. So you're saying for ounces, you like about a 6 to 10 ounce weight.
Yeah,
So
and that
that's
may be
gonna
a little bit overkill too on some spots.
depend on the
But
current, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I've had my quote unquote best luck with uh the 60 gram lead, which is kind of like a two-ish ounce. And then
mhm,
when the current's moving, I'll jump up to that like 130 on the vertical jigs. I'm just kind of like a nerd. I like to target the big ones. So I normally fish
yeah,
with a jig, but when you've got a charter on board, you gotta pull your limit in as quickly as possible.
yeah. We
But
did have one guy yesterday with us. He was using either I think it was a 1 ounce like a sting silver kind jig.
mhm.
Like I throw at the bluefish around the islands when those big ones
Yeah,
came around. I had one of those rigged up. So he grabbed that rod and was flipping out, and he was catching the big ones with that. Like
interesting.
I'd watch him. He'd take him a while to get to the bottom, and then he said he'd get almost he sometimes hit the bottom, sometimes he wouldn't. He would start jigging it, and he
Bang.
was pulling them up some big. He was catching the bigger fish on that jig.
Interesting.
While we were catching the one spot we stopped at, we were catching some like quality size fish, like 2 3 pounders, and every time I look over at him, he would have a bigger
Bigger.
fish on. So of course I go over there and drop the jig down next to him and do the same thing. And they wanted he had like a chartreuse on, and I had on a red one.
Yeah. What do you think the difference is between those, jigs or just like the cut bait that would entice a larger fish to eat versus
I,
the
I, I
smaller?
I have no idea, man. I was like, he was throwing a green one, and I was throwing a pink one, and another guy on the boat grabbed a silver one, and then like they would bite his green one, and then he catch like 2 to 1 on the pink and the silver. It just didn't seem to matter. So like I mean, I guess it did matter the color, but we would tip a little piece of squid or something,
Right.
and I think that had a lot to do with it too. But yeah, it was I'm still getting new to this game. I'm trying to learn a little bit more and kind of trial and error of like, let me try
Well,
this, let me try this, let's try this spot. I've marked a couple spots off the list. I'm like, well, that spot didn't really produce, so we won't go there. And I've tried a couple spots a couple times, and just trying to find my own way. I don't ask people for their exact spots for catching them. I mean, everybody has a dock shots right now when they're going out there, but
oh yeah.
we're still catching our limit of fish pretty easily. Like we're throwing back 13, 14 inch fish and trying to
Keeping
keep the
your
bigger ones.
choice ones. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say you're
Yeah,
being humble. Your dock shots would suggest otherwise. There's some
yeah.
really nice quality fish, and it's the comfort factor too. Going out to those wrecks and back in a center console without curtains. Especially as we get into the back half of October and into November when those temperatures cool off. That 32 topaz with that wraparound, sort of express style cabin is going to be really, really nice for those
Yeah.
cooler days to be able to get out there dry and
hmm
warm. So, do you have any other, tips on the tackle setup, like with your rods and reels? What are you typically using
I'm
for that
using
bottom fishing?
some of the stuff I've been using the same stuff I use like when I troll for like Spanish and stuff, pulling planers,
Hmm.
like my typical like trolling rod, like I think it's a 6.6, like medium action. I use the Pin Squall level lines for
Okay.
people who the people that may have much experience. I use those
Right.
like the 20, and then I have the accurate the accurate turn. I got a Go Mexus I won in that raffle.
Oh yeah, that thing was
Is
sweet.
that how you say it? Go Mex? Yeah, that thing is man, this thing is super small, but that thing is a sweet little and has the wraparound guides. And so I've been using that the last couple of days. That's a pretty sweet rod too. Um,
Wraparound guides. Are you talking like where they kind of like do like a spiral going down
yeah,
the, so
yeah, I've
you're
never used that before. Yeah,
interesting. So
and
it's like on the downside, like once the rod is bent down, the eyes going towards the tip are actually going to be on the underside,
yeah,
like a normal looking fishing pole, so to
like a
speak.
like a spinning rod.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
so yeah, I've never used it before, and I was like, man, I've seen them. It's kind of a lighter action rod, so I've been using that one last couple of days. It's pretty cool, and you still use spinning tackle. Like my lighter cobia rods we were throwing those jigs with.
Hmm.
Like my medium heavy action. Now it's still kind of big. I told the guy yesterday, I was like, I'm gonna bring one of my trout rods out here and drop those jigs down, and
Oh
you
gosh.
know, one of my bigger trout rods do that. I mean, I like the light tackle fight.
Oh yeah.
I use ultralights for uh, trout this fall. That's all I use is ultralight stuff. So, um, yeah, that's just what I've been using, like 4 or 5,000 series spinner reels, and those pin squalls. I like them. Like I said, the level line for the people that don't know how to move the line back and forth, and
Right. Right.
yeah, just tie my own little dropper rigs and 3 4 hooks and just
Boom
some
boom.
some
On
some
on
kind of
your
bait.
on your dropper rig, so I'm picturing, you've got what, maybe 36 inches of leader
Yeah, yeah,
roughly.
they're about 12 inches apart.
Okay.
10, 12 inches apart. And that's something too I'm still learning. Like some of my titles, they're super long, and then you make them too long and try to pull a fish and your weight smacks out of the boat. And, and you almost want it small enough to where when you grab the top of your leader, you can flip the whole thing in
Right.
without the weight smacking the side of the boat. I got a lot of dings to fix this off season again because I've already learned my lesson on that one.
Thunk. You're like,
So
oh
yeah,
gosh, there goes another
yeah,
one. And then
yeah.
your leader material, are you using mono or fluoro, and
I'm
what
still just mono.
mono, and
I've
then
just
what
been using
pound?
mono. 30 or 40 pound.
Okay.
I think we had some 50 yesterday we used, but 30 to 40 pounds seemed like what works fine for us. And
The reason I ask is because tied on some 60 and got a couple of snags. And what I learned is when you've got 50-pound braid and 60-pound leader material, it's really hard to break
Yeah.
that. When
Yeah.
when you've got 90 feet with the stretch and everything, it is
Hmm.
really hard to break that. So there was a couple of times I was like, man, I feel like I should be back down to 30. And so end up retying everything down to 30 because inevitably you're going to get a snag here and there. And breaking
Yeah.
30 is, I guess, half as hard as breaking 60.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 30 isn't that hard to break off. I mean, then if you just use just a sinker, you tie back
right.
another loop, tie back on, drop it back down.
Yeah, you're back
Um,
in business.
yeah.
That's
And I
cool.
keep a snap swivel on the top of mine, and just if I break the whole rig off, I break 2 or 3 hooks off. I just take it off and throw it in a bucket and strap it, put another one on and send it back down.
Good
So
to go. And what size hooks are you using for those
I was using
CMS?
fives yesterday, five
Okay.
aught. Some people use sevens, six. I think five is the smallest I'll go to. And the smaller the hook, we catch a smaller fish, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
So the
That,
five, I could probably get away with the seven pretty good too. So somewhere in that range
that's
is what I was
that's
using.
good to
So
know because the I know the triggerfish have a much smaller mouth. So I
yeah,
imagine that 5/0 hook is kind of part of the success with those triggerfish because maybe that 7/0 might be a
too
little
big.
harder
Yeah.
for them to get their mouth around and eat that bait. Did you find were the triggerfish kind of mixed in with the sea bass, or would you like
Hmm.
pull up on a wreck and it would just be triggerfish?
Yeah, they're kind of mixed in. There's some places there was obviously more triggers than sea bass, and you could tell like by their bites a little bit different. Like
Yeah,
they like peck at it. So
yeah.
when we found that, like the other guys on the boat, they would switch their hooks out at like a 2 or 3 aught, and then they were pulling up and they were catching some of the smaller triggers. The two biggest we caught yesterday were probably close to 4 pounds or so.
That's awesome.
We're on the bigger hooks,
Okay,
and
that's
I guess if
awesome.
we want to target the triggers, like you said, I'm still learning this game, so it's like we want to target trigger with a smaller hook,
Right.
just a smaller piece of bait, and we even took a piece of some of the gulp they were biting it out of. We were just cutting them up and put them on there. They eat that too.
Yeah, I've
So
heard. I think Captain Robbie, talked about that at one point, and it's like, hey, they're already keyed in on that gulp, and if they're taking bites out of it, go ahead and put that on a smaller hook, incorporate that into your rig, and you might, catch them with the sea bass, or just switch over to all small hooks on a rig and have one person, target the triggerfish. One
yeah,
thing I know to be true is that the triggerfish fight hard and they're fun.
yeah,
I
yeah,
first
they
one
are.
I caught, I didn't expect it, so I thought I had like the world's biggest flounder because it was kind of a similar little like rapapap at first,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a big flounder. Then I pulled it up and it was like a 2.5 pound triggerfish, but he pulled pound for pound. They pull so hard.
yeah. They run me like a spadefish. Their
No,
fight,
yeah, yeah,
like they get turned sideways and they're digging down, and you can tell as soon as you get them off, off the bottom, like, oh, this is a triggerfish, and
yeah.
and we did catch a couple flounder this week too. I think we had like 21, 22 inches
Nice.
Sunday. Yesterday we didn't really target them much yesterday, but we did catch a few smaller ones yesterday. Um, but it was yeah, the place we caught the flounder at, we caught five there, and lost a big one at the boat, and we caught 20, 21, 22 inches, and then Josh fished with us Sunday, and he lost a big one at the boat,
Josh, what in the world?
yelling at me to get the net. So
Oh,
yeah,
what happened?
it
How did
wasn't
you?
hooked well. Like I looked down, I saw it. It wasn't he. I could see the hook. It was barely hooked, and I turned around to grab the net, and it was gone.
Ah,
Uh,
it's crazy how much you have to treat a large flounder almost like a cobia boat side. Like
yeah,
you got to hit them right and you got to hit them the first time. Otherwise, they really can get Houdini off the hook in a
yeah,
heartbeat. I've definitely learned a higher level of respect for flounder boat side to be make sure that somebody else has the net. I prefer a long handled net so you can really reach out to it and manipulate the net quickly, like a little silver with the rubber bag in the bottom,
hmm.
that you
We
can
still have my cobia net on the boat, so
even
my
better.
my, my little net's on my privateer for the trout, and he said grab the net. I'm like, which one, the big one? He's like, get it. So I pulled off the top and the net is cobia, the cobia, the flounder with that, and
That's awesome.
yeah, so
Are we legally allowed to gaff flounder?
I don't know. I don't. My gaff's tucked so far away up in the cabin and got so much dust on it. I don't even know.
I know.
It's like that's the dumbest rule that we have is we can't gaff a cobia.
Yeah, gaffing a
But
flounder is probably an
yeah,
ill-conceived idea anyways. I guess you could technically flounder gig, so
yeah, same thing.
I'm assuming it's very uh, interchangeable there. But yeah, probably a net is the best way to go about it. Just make sure that somebody else has a net because what I learned is like I tried to do it myself and it's an awkward motion and
Hmm.
I lost a couple that way. And when somebody else has it, you can almost do it just like a cobia, kind of have the person crank it up and then just like make sure that that fish is moving horizontally and never gets
Hmm.
vertical. And then
Yeah.
horizontally slide it right into the net, just like a cobia, and then drop your rod tip down.
Yep.
Um, I lost a big one in the same, probably similar fashion to Josh. It wasn't hooked very well, and I tried to get in the net myself, and ended up, with the rod way over my head and stretched way out with the net. And next thing I know, pink, it comes off, and I go look at my jig, and sure enough, I've got the flounder's lower jaw still hooked on my
Oh, damn.
hook, and I was like, ugh, idiot.
Yeah,
But
I could. I looked at that. When I looked over the side, I could tell, and it was shaking his head, and I was like, "Yeah, he ain't gonna stay on there much longer." So,
Poor
but
Josh. Poor Josh.
yeah,
Luckily, he can get out there and catch probably as many as he wants, whenever he
yeah.
wants. But well, cool, man. Any other little tips? Like when we get to the cleaning table, you mentioned, I think before we were recording, that you've got a kind of a special way of cleaning those sea bass that makes it a little quicker and
Well,
easier.
I use the electric flay knife. If I didn't have that, I'd throw half of them back because it's still. I mean, it's still for me to clean 60 fish is like an hour. I feel like like just. I mean, I try to do a good job too, so it's like knocking the butts both sides off, then skinning them, and then cutting the rib meat out, and it's like it's. I say I always I'm slow at cleaning fish anyway, so but that electric flay knife does make it nice to
Yeah,
knock both sides off, and then it works on the trigger too. They got that tough skin to get underneath
right.
them, like outline them first, and then cut the meat off. And um, yeah, the smaller trigger fish, I started throwing back the smaller ones. The like I don't know 10, 12, 13 inches.
Hmm.
It's because they're just you get meat off them, but they're just so hard to clean, and
Yeah, not
you're
almost
catching
not worth it.
yeah, and you're catching like 60 sea bass, or four people where we catch 60 sea bass, and then we kept 10 or 12 triggerfish and have a couple flounder. It's like that's a lot of meat, and I'm not a big fan of freezing it, so it's like I mean I'll freeze some fish, but like people I want to stock my freezer for the winter. I'm like, you want to eat fish every day if I'm like, how you can only eat fish for so much. So that's just my
Right.
opinion. Like
Yeah.
I don't like
Before
to
your doctor will tell you that your mercury levels are too high and you need to, take it easy. So,
yeah.
well,
Say my computer's going to die. Give me 1 second.
oh no, you're good. I was gonna say we can kind of wrap up and talk about how folks can get up with you and book a trip. I mean the wreck fishing is just getting heated up, and I imagine it'll stay good really through October. And how long would you reckon, even into
I'm guessing until
November?
probably like into November. I know the sea bass closed December 1st. I believe it
Okay,
is.
yeah,
I think that's what it is. And I think we're hoping to get like a February season
yeah,
again. So yeah, I'm gonna run them as long as I can, as long as the weather's nice. We've been
yeah.
lucky the last 3 days, 4 days. We've had nicer weather than we had all summer. So
Yeah. And then it picks back up. I think going into the weekend, I looked at one of the days and it was calling for like 15 foot at 11 seconds or something wild. I think it
yeah,
blows Friday, Saturday. But, folks are listening and wanting to get out there and, fill up their coolers and have some fun and enjoy a nice ride. What's the best way they can contact you and get booked on a trip?
you can go through either. I got a website, bayrummercharters.com. My contact info is up there. I am going to have a link where you can book um, rec trips on there. I'm getting that set up today.
Okay.
You can go through Instagram. I'm on there, Bay Rummer Charters. Facebook, Bay Rummer Charters. They're my phone number's on both of those. You can call me, text me. Um, I will do some walk-on trips if I can. If I get 4 or 5 guys who want to go.
Hmm.
I think these rec trips I'm gonna limit it to 5 people.
Yeah.
6 people can fish, but that's a lot of. It gets a little tight on the back of the boat there.
Yeah.
So do 5 people. We fished 5 people the last couple of days, and there's plenty of shoulder room around, and you get 6 people down there dropping rigs down and
That's a
getting tangled
lot
up
of
and everything. Yeah,
lot
and
of sea bass to clean, and I don't think
yeah,
folks can really appreciate how tedious that is. So it's one of those things where, like, I would say if I was coming on a charter to go sea bass fishing, I'd either anticipate uh, bringing a cooler and planning to, keep them and clean them myself, or, maybe pay a little bit extra and get them cleaned properly,
Yeah.
for me would be the way to go, especially considering the price that sea bass goes for at market. It's like $32 filleted right now at like market price. So
For a pound? Is that
per
a pound?
pound.
Oh wow.
32.49 per pound is what it's selling for at market, like wholesale to the restaurant. So, if you pay for a trip and it's only a couple $100 and then maybe another 50 or so bucks, per man to get them cleaned. I'm just spitballing numbers
Yeah.
here, but
Yeah.
like
That's about. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
it's so worth it because that
Yeah.
is like top dollar stuff right
Mhm.
there. So,
Yeah. And that, I mean, those. I think Sunday we said we're gonna keep 50. Of our fish we kept. Because like I said, we didn't need to keep the what I
full
think
limit
60 or 75 fish, whatever it was, and I filled up almost a 5 gallon bucket with
fillet.
the yeah. So I mean, there's
Yeah.
plenty of meat there. Like I brought home 2 gallon-sized bags for myself that we split. So that's a lot of fish
Oh yeah.
in that,
If you
and then you get
figure,
to
what was the average fish weighing, would you say? 3 pounds?
um some of I mean the 13-inch fish probably weigh like a pound and a half.
Right.
If that. Say a pound for those 13-inch fish, and some of them are 13 and a half, some of them are 18, some are 20. Like it's
Yeah.
we probably had, I don't know, 25 yesterday over 18 inches
So
so
you could
say
probably
two
say,
pounds a piece. Yeah.
yeah, I'll say 2 pounds a piece. If you had 50 fish at 2 pounds a piece, that's 100 pounds. And then you say the average yield from a sea bass is probably what, a third?
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
third?
probably something out there. Yeah.
Let's even go a little bit lower and just say,
Quarter.
0.28. So that's 28 pounds of fillet. And then at
Yeah.
market prices, which is 32.49, I mean, that's $910 worth of
Yeah.
sea bass.
Fish you get. Yeah.
The trip doesn't even,
Yeah.
cost that.
Yeah.
Um,
Not per person. And then you throw in, you got fuel and
right.
boat and bait, and that's another thing with this whole thing is like bait. Go out there. I took 8 pounds of squid, five
Oh,
eight
wow.
pounds of squid, and we're using a lot. We're using big pieces, probably bigger than we need to, but I think the 2 days we went through 8 pounds of squid.
Of squid. Yeah.
8 pounds, yeah. And at the same time, I'm using, like I said, I've used I think 4 Kobe bellies, and because I save all my bellies during the summer,
Yeah.
and
That's a prize. That's a prized possession. When you're offshore on a wreck, a cobia belly is a prized possession.
yeah,
Really, just for the fact that it lasts through
it's
multiple
just
bites.
yeah. So yeah, I have a piece on there yesterday for, I don't know. We were counting like how many fish we were catching on like a piece of squid and a piece of Kobe belly at the end there, because I looked at the crew. I was like, look, when that bin's full empty of squid, we're going in. We're not cutting up anymore. And that's when we already had our 60 fish. And we were just out there just fun fishing in. So,
Jeez, man,
but
what did old Josh Bourne, old wingman, what did he lose that flounder on? Was he on a?
we were sea bass fishing. He had a sea bass rig on there, and
Mm,
he caught that. And we caught a couple. One of the guys on the other day, he was just jigging for flounder the whole day, and he caught a few. And he was just trying to keep the sea bass off the jig too. It's hard, like he caught a couple big sea bass on them. So,
man.
but
Well,
yeah,
I know you probably got a busy night ahead of you. Folks that didn't get to hear you on the last time that you were on, you work at the firehouse. Well, I guess it's still firehouse, but you
yeah,
are a fire boat captain for
yeah.
the fire department of which city?
Suffolk. I'm on the
Suffolk.
Suffolk. I'm on the Suffolk Fire Department, and we have it's called the Marine Incident Response Team. I'm on that team here. Um, I'm one of the, I guess, crewmen. I guess we could say. I guess for the people out there, I'm a marine operator. Is what I'm
Okay.
called. Uh, I have a captain here that I work under, the
Okay.
captain of the team. Actually, I'm on his shift. Um, got a retired Coast Guard guy here too,
Nice.
so it's cool. Like the knowledge we have on the boat,
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
how
Yeah.
much to learn from those guys is cool. And um, that whole aspect of it too. That's all. That could be a whole day, a whole podcast in itself. Talking about that. And so yeah, and I'm on shift right now, so I'm on the engine today. So um, our boat's actually out of service right now. It has some motor issues, so we're just on
Well,
the engine. So
hopefully there's no marine related incidences, but I'm sure if there are, old Captain Kenny over there in Norfolk could hop on his and probably be there
yeah,
and scoot.
them and guys over in Newport News that we all work together.
Yeah.
We have a smaller boat here on a trailer we can take out if we need to, but our big boat's out of service. But yeah, I'm on the engine tonight, so hopefully it's a quiet night.
Yeah, get a little bit of R&R,
Yeah.
much deserved when you're splitting time between running around as a firefighter as well as running a charter boat. I mean, that's two different lines of work that are hard on your body.
Yeah, I
So
know we've been,
yeah.
and the last 2 days have been long out there, and yeah, today it's nice to be a little bit slower here.
Yeah,
So
sit back and enjoy it while you can.
yeah,
Man, Captain Tripp, always a pleasure having you on, and I'm looking forward to kind of growing with you as you start to venture into some of these new, wreck fishing and the different things. And I want to kind of keep a beat on this battery too, because that 36 volt DC house battery. I mean, that's a good piece of information, data point to track. Is like, okay, you can buy a $3,000 battery, kind of see how that performs, or you can buy a $650 battery and see how that performs. So I'll be
I,
really interested to see how it's looking come like
yeah,
the end of November, you know?
yeah. I'm still convinced that like they're all the same battery. Just slap a different sticker on it and put a different price tag on it. That's just my take. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna try it on striper too. I'm gonna go Eastern Shore and put it in the water. I'm gonna use it like put it at the speed I want to go
Right.
and use that to direct where I want to go and just use the big motor kind of steer. That's how I did with my Judge, and it worked out really well. When I
Yeah.
burned that Judge, the Judge, I had 50 amp hour batteries. I had three single in that, and I burned the trolling motor up pretty quick.
Mm,
Throughout the day. I say quick. I mean, it was almost dead by the time we were heading in. So I
right.
wonder how this 100 amp hour one battery will work better for that. And then plus I got a lot more boat I'm towing too.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Moving in a direction consistently versus holding a direction or holding a
yeah,
spot. Be interested to see how the battery temperament holds up, between those two differences. So that'll be a fun data point to talk about in
yeah,
the
yeah,
future after
definitely for
some of these
sure. Yeah.
trips. So, well,
Yeah.
man, until next time, be safe out there and thanks for protecting the city from fires and keeping folks out there tight on some fish.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, that's going to wrap up a great chat with Captain Tripp. We learned a lot today. Everything from, some troller motor tips, some battery tips, leader material, types of rods and reels, and how to target, those sea bass and those triggerfish. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Stick around for a word from our sponsors that make this great content free for you each week, and we'll be back with you real soon. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine grade aluminum with a protective anti corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Dock. Check out the full collection at killerdock.com today. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. All right, guys. Time to jump into another report. This captain has been, well, we've talked to him several times, and he runs a bunch of different boats. But he actually just did a cool trek down to Florida and back with his truck and trailer and his 27-foot skiff. Welcome to the show, Cap Merrick Myers, Heads and Tails Charters. How we doing, Cap?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Doing well. Uh, so catch us up. What inspired a trip to Florida? What part of Florida did you go, and what'd you guys see? What'd you catch? What were the highlights?
I've been wanting to go do the mullet run for a while, and I talked to the wife for a honeymoon. We should just take the boat down there and go fish, and that's what we did.
That's a killer honeymoon. So what part
Yeah,
of Florida? What part of Florida did you go to, and what was it like trailering the boat all that way?
I mean, boat trailer's easy. It's brand new, so really didn't have any problems. I actually didn't have any problems, which is cool. Very unheard of.
Yeah.
Um, Trailered it down to. We fished at a Jupiter area, Jupiter,
Hmm.
and then was it Lake Worth, which is right there by like Singer Island, Peanut
Okay.
Island. Um, they usually have a pretty prolific run on the mullet run, which is when all the mullet move up and down Florida's coast.
And I imagine bring some of the game fish right there along with them.
Oh yeah, yeah, tarpon, jacks, um, big snook.
Oh,
What else? Bunch of sharks. A lot of sharks. But I mean, that's Florida. It's all sharks.
That's awesome. So you and the wife Jamie, Nurse Jamie, just the two of you went and got it done.
Yeah. That
That's
trailer down.
awesome.
Caught a bunch of fish. Did a little bit of trolling. It's cool. It's a cool spot down there. We kind of got messed up by the weather. We had those 2 hurricanes off the coast.
Yeah, blew in pretty hard. I think we were chit-chatting on the same day, traveling back on Saturday, but you sent me a picture of one giant fish. So talk me through that. I mean, what were you guys using for bait? What'd you catch? And what was that like, that big fish that you sent a picture of?
Oh, which one? The big jack?
Yeah.
Oh, we're on the going down the beach, and you can see big schools of those, 30, 40 pound jacks chasing his mullet. And all you had to do is put anything in front of them as long as you could catch up to them. I think she caught one on a live mullet. I had a bunch of them blow up on like a 12-inch topwater plug.
That's awesome. They're pretty quick. I mean, you talk about catching up to them. Are you having to like chase them down with the boat and then deliver a cast, or are you like waiting for the school of mullet to go by and then cast at them?
Yeah, you had to go find the ones that are actually like blowing up, that are actually eating. Typically, when the mullet schools were getting split up, when the tarpon and stuff and sharks were pushing through them,
Yeah,
it'd get split up into smaller bait balls, and those would all just get destroyed by the jacks and tarpon.
got it. Okay. Is there anything you put in your tackle box that is like unique or different? Like if I were to, trailer up and head down there myself and I've got my, typical nearshore and inshore gear from the Lower Chesapeake and the Lynnhaven, what items might I be missing if I go to Florida that would be helpful to have in order to catch some of those target species?
I mean, honestly, pretty much everything we use here, um, mostly just those big swim jigs and stuff.
Okay,
We used a lot of big swim jigs and a lot of just straight circle hooks.
got it. I
Just
think
catch the
in
mullet. It was
Florida,
cool.
you have you have to use a circle hook in Florida, right?
I believe so for some of the game fish down there.
Got it. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I mean,
But
besides that, Jack, what was any other highlight fish that are worth talking to?
I couldn't hear you. You broke up a little bit there.
Sorry, I was asking. Besides that one big Jack that you caught, was there any other trophies that are worth sharing a story about?
We caught some real nice like medium sized Goliath grouper around docks and stuff fishing for snook. That was very eye opening. We had a tarpon miss a mullet and a big old Goliath. Well, not really big, probably 80, 90 pounds. Came up and he was probably a foot away from the bait and sucked it in.
Oh wow!
That
Now,
was cool.
what rod were you on when that thing hit?
The same rods I used for cobia, Jonesy with a 5,000 Saragossa.
What was that fight like against a 90-pound Goliath grouper?
Short. You got
Short,
me in a dive pretty quick.
broke you off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Jamie was lucky. She got hers on a riprap wall, and it was probably, in the 45-pound range.
That's
That one got to the boat pretty easily. So it didn't have anywhere to go break us off.
right, right. That makes sense. That's one of the cool things about Florida, isn't it? I mean, you really don't never know what you're going to get, whether you're inshore or even like near shore. There's so many different species down there.
There is, but there really isn't. When you get down to the brass tacks, you got snook, tarpon, jacks. I mean, that far south, occasional redfish. But
Okay.
it's in that aspect, I firmly believe going just straight, you know, predatory fish. The
Right.
one thing they have on us is the snook, and then we did have a couple big barracudas T-bone the mullet when we were trying to feed them to tarpon. That was always a bummer, but it was cool as heck to see, 4-foot barracuda that's, bigger as round as your leg jump out of the water with a mullet in its mouth. It's pretty neat.
That does sound really cool. And around here we don't really worry about sharks when we're fighting a cobia or a redfish. Down there I know that's a typically something that guys worry about. I mean, did you guys encounter many sharks, whether you were actually just like catching them on bait, or were they attacking anything that you were fighting, or was it a non-issue?
It was a pretty big issue in a couple of the spots back at some of the literally pretty much in the areas that looked like you didn't have to worry about it. As soon as you pulled a fish out away from a dock or a bulkhead, you'd have, a 5 foot bull shark all over it, which is kind of a bummer because, you got to either pull the fish away from it or break it off.
Right.
Just to try to help the fish out. But most of the time, from what I saw, people just let the fish get eaten.
Uh, it's just wild to think about that. There's that many sharks down there, and they're so keen on the fact that once a fish is hooked by an angler, it's pretty much almost a free snack for them a lot of the times.
Yeah, when we were off the beach, we were watching, 150-pound tarpon blow out through the mullet schools, and knowing full and well as soon as you set the hook into one, it was a race against the clock to try to even get anywhere close to us.
Man, did you guys get a chance to hook into some of the tarpons?
Yeah, Jamie got the hook probably 150, probably north of 150 pounder on our own. That was pretty cool. Ate a live mullet.
That's awesome.
We got a couple good jumps out of it. Spit the hook, so I was happy about that. We didn't have to feed it to a shark.
Right. That's one of the things I've heard guys talk about, is that keeping a tarpon hooked is uniquely challenging. Why is that?
It's just the aerobatics of them and the fact their mouth is just hard. It's like setting the hook in the bone.
Yeah. And they come out of the water shaking their head
Yeah.
violently, and if you got any sort of a weight on that hook, it, I guess,
Yeah,
wallows
it's
itself
hard.
out.
You gotta bow to them and
What
heat of the moment.
what does
A
that
lot of
mean?
people,
Bow
you
to
gotta
the
keep
fish?
you gotta keep the rod low. Try to
Okay,
keep the slack from popping out.
got it.
But yeah, it's a lot easier said than done for most people.
Got it.
Jamie hasn't had to play that much with that, so the first fish she hooked, she was rod tip up, rod boat over, and did a couple good jumps, and we got to see it. So I was
That's
happy.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, for the sport of it, obviously, because you don't eat tarpon. I mean, you kind of, it's like, quote unquote, touching the leader. Just the fact of getting to hook one and see it out of the water is almost enough to, be excited about. Obviously, it'd be cool to get in the water and take a picture with it and this, that, and the other. But if you know that it's going to get sharked,
Yeah,
then
you're not gonna get in the water on the beach, that's for sure. Not from a boat.
not with that many sharks swimming around. Uh,
Nah.
Uh, well, man, I'm glad you guys had such a great honeymoon and got to enjoy Florida and had a safe trip there and back. I did get to see you recently at the Hooked on Hope event that Mike threw, and that was really special to just kind of get to hear all the stories, meet some of the families. I talked earlier with Captain Tripseed about his experience, but you kind of have the unique privilege of passing the torch to Josh Bourne this year with the belt. Tell us a little bit about what does the belt represent with Hooked on Hope? And this isn't like, for those listening, this isn't like a belt to hold your pants up. This is like, the WWE, like, top of the line giant,
Yeah,
weighted
metal.
belt with its solid metal leather. I mean, this thing is bad to the bone. So what does that represent with the Hooked on Hope Foundation?
It just shows that you did the most trips that year, and you helped take out the most families, which is awesome because Josh does do a lot.
Yeah.
He's a big supporter with a big heart, and I'm proud. I'm proud of him getting it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and it was neat to see the way that Mike honored you and your dad, Eric Senior, just for all the work with the foundation that you guys have done. And I really enjoyed hearing both you and Josh, talk about how for you guys it's really not about. It's got nothing to do with money. It's 100% to do with, you kind of see where you fit in the community, especially the fishing community, as a way to give back to these families that are in need of a little bit of hope. And I just love that you guys kind of seem to get it and understand, like, it's a higher calling, it's a higher purpose. Yeah, you could be out there, trying to just get the most money for your trips and have the most fun, trips or whatever. But like taking those kids out there and teaching them and showing them the ropes and making sure that the moms, the dads get a chance to relax a little bit and have some fun. It's truly special, man. Very admirable.
It's one of a kind. The experience is one of a kind. Each trip is new. Like each family you meet, you get to see that they get to step away from what they've been having to deal with
Yeah.
and get to watch them relax, have fun, create memories. I know there is quite a few of the families that don't have those loved ones anymore, and the fact that we were able to give them some more cherished memories before they lost their little angels.
Yeah. That's what it's
It's
all about.
it really is. It's a big deal, and
Yeah.
I'm just happy to help them. I know me and my dad, we do a lot with a lot of the local charities, a lot of the veterans, a lot of the single parents. Um, we like to get the kids out and show them different ways to express themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And really, we wouldn't trade it for the world. There's not an amount of money that you could pay us to stop doing it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, anybody that's listening that is like, man, that's something I want to either like donate to or get involved with, go look up Hooked on Hope VB, Captain Mike Roby, Mikerebey. He leads that up, and it's such a great organization. uh, Switching gears into what's been going on inshore, we've had these storm systems that kind of blew through off the coast. We're kind of getting into this, middle of October time frame. What's happening inshore? What can we look forward to, and what should we be thinking about in terms of getting geared up and ready to rock?
Well, inshore, you'll be looking forward to our spectacular trout fishery. The redfish this time of year, they're always a little bit more hit or miss. The bait gets a little harder to find, which is a good and bad thing. We like to switch over to mostly artificial lures this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a lot more like, the mirror lures, mirror dines, swim jigs, basically bass fishing, but in salt water.
Okay. As opposed to the soft plastics that you're using, in the last, couple of weeks or month. And why is that? Is it a difference in like what bait is available, what they're actually going after, or is it a difference in the speed at which you're working the lures? Like why the change up to those artificials?
It's mostly just the presentation of the species of fish you're going after. The speckled trout, they like to suspend, so they're not usually. You will catch them on the bottom. Just jigging a jig off the bottom. You'll catch 100 trout. They're all typically smaller.
Yeah.
But to get on the medium, the large trout, you'll have to start using techniques like one of our favorites is like a suspending jerk bait and like that 4-inch length, anything
Mhm.
like that, X wraps. Mirrodines are a great choice. You can work it through the current and cover a lot of area with the right presentation.
Right.
Which is good for Lynnhaven because we don't have many places that don't have a lot of current.
Right. True.
So,
Everywhere does. But that's our tides. I mean, we have big tide swings. If anybody's listening that's not from the area, if you're like from the Gulf or somewhere down there, like you might not be used to it. But around here, I mean, we can have days where it's a 2.5 foot tide variation. And I mean, that's a ton of water turning over, and it creates a lot of speed.
oh yeah, we have some super fast currents. There's not many places where you might need 2.5 ounces to get 9 foot down.
That's crazy to think about. That's like
Yeah.
offshore fishing.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to imagine and put in perspective, but I mean, you're never going to swim against the current like in our main bodies of water.
Right.
You're going with it.
Yeah, it's always something to contend with. And it's kind of a reminder for me too, thinking about my fall tackle box is like I do have to like I can't just go buy half-ounce jig heads. I've got to have everything from an eighth up to, ounce, ounce and a half, even, two, depending on the day and the time.
Yep. Yep. It's a lot of different terminal tackle you'll need jig fishing. But the same goes for targeting the redfish. Just be around structure and deep channels with ledges. In Lynnhaven, there's quite a few good flats that we'll fish, daytime and nighttime. Like yesterday we fished a couple flats in early morning around 4 a.m. Definitely didn't have as much action as I thought we would have had with the full moon, but we did make a few catches with some nice, male trout. They're 17 inches or so.
It's pretty good. And if I remember correctly, you go pretty heavy on the leader material for those redfish, like 40 or even like 60 pound. As the water gets cooler and maybe a little cleaner, clearer, do you still stick to that same weight or do you start to back it off a little bit?
I'll usually back it off a little bit. It mostly helps with like the presentation of your
Okay.
lures.
Got it.
A lot of times that heavier leader material has a memory, and it'll curl up when you go to like twitch a mirrodine or a jerkbait.
Yep.
And you just can't have that.
Yeah.
It'll just tangle around the hooks every cast, and you'll wonder why.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, this is the time of year where you can get away with really light stuff. Like I've seen plenty of people go down to like 15.
Okay.
But my typical, all the spools I'll have on the boat is, 30, 20, 25.
Right. And I've seen you use it. I don't know if it's for redfish or speckled trout, but talking about going between, different lures consistently, I feel like I've seen you use that little, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's like a little thing that you put at the end of your leader so that you can quickly change out your lures.
The fast snaps.
Fast snaps, yeah. Does that help the action of the lure? Does it hinder, trying to trout have good eyesight? Like, what's your belief system around those? Is it useful, helpful, or useful,
I feel like
hurtful?
I feel like it's useful in the right applications. A lot of the hard baits, mirrodines, jerk baits, topwater plugs, where you normally have to tie like, let's say like one of those spoon knots or paula knots,
Yeah.
where you have a loop so your bait can swing more.
Yeah.
That'll make it so you don't actually have to tie those loop knots, which I know some people struggle real hard.
That's me. I'm always like, I feel like I can't really do it correctly. And then I feel like I'm wasting leader material because I'll, pull that huge tag in so that I can tie a loop around the lure. And then I feel like I'm just wasting leader.
Yep. Yep. So it'll help you in the long run of switching lures out all day. I know a lot of people they'll put one lure on, make 3 casts. If they don't get a bite, they'll switch to a different color.
Yeah.
I know that gets a little tedious after a while, so that helps out a lot if you're listening and you don't believe in the first lure choice. Makes it easy.
Yeah. I want to look up what those things are called. Fast snap swivels. There's a name for it. Speed clips. That's it. I knew there was a name for it. Speed clips. Oh, they almost look like a paper clip, but they're heavy duty. And they've got, different sizes and gauges to them. But for the trout and whatnot. Yeah, that's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Speed clips. Yep. Yeah, I remember when you showed me those, I was like, this is genius. Whoever invented that, is probably making a few pesos off of it and enjoying life because it's such a great invention and works so well. But I'm curious. I know you guys recently bought yet another boat, so now there's 4 or 5 boats in the fleet. Are you going to be using that boat at all for doing any sort of like sight fishing of those redfish in that clear water, or is that boat going to be
Oh
used
yeah.
for something else?
Oh yeah. All the
Yeah.
boats will be everything but the contender will be used for the sight fishing.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's something I want to do this year. I just want to experience like seeing the redfish. I mean, when can we expect the water to get clear enough to actually get out there and do that?
I know last year we had a really good clear water week or two in towards the middle of November, I believe,
Okay.
where we're able to just actually see the bottom in like 4 to 5 feet of water and really good visibility in like 2 to 3. So it made finding the redfish easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still get, it's not like February when the water's clear and you can catch 100 of them. You're actually having to try to catch these ones because they're still they're still moving. They're still fast. They still fight hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
they
they're literally
definitely.
in like the most inconspicuous spot. You just look over and it's like you see. I know last year we found a log back in Lynnhaven, or not even a log. I think it was a piling. And every time we go by, there's two fish on it every day. It's just middle of nowhere, just a sandy, muddy flat, and it's not even that big. It's like maybe 3 foot, maybe like a foot in diameter.
Wow.
Just sitting on the bottom
They always.
every time. Every time we went by, there was two fish on it.
That's interesting. Do you, when you're fishing inshore, we were talking to Captain Kinney and talking about bottom fishing for sea bass, and he was talking. This was two or three episodes ago, and we were talking about adjusting the sonar so that you could kind of get an idea of where those sea bass were on some of the smaller little humps that you see that you wouldn't normally see it when you're in auto gain. Do you do anything different with your sonar settings when you're fishing inshore, whether that's going from deeper to shallower or different bottoms? Like, do you change anything at all, or do you leave it in auto gain?
I leave mine in auto game, but I rely heavily on like the side scan to see stuff on those flats.
Okay.
So like I'll zoom it out to like 100 feet, 75 to 100 feet on both sides of the boat. So
Oh, wow.
because I mean when they get on those flats and they're relying on just a little oyster outcrop or just a rock. I mean, we've caught 2, 3 fish off of one rock, and I mean, 9 times out of 10, those fish that are out in the middle, they're typically going to be on your bigger side class,
Got it.
especially if you're finding like a trout off of it.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's a couple spots where we found desks, or not desks. Like those Adirondack chairs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a spot where there's a couple Adirondack chairs on a flat, and they always hold fish. They're in the middle of nowhere. They
Well,
drifted off of somebody's dock.
they're very ergonomical, very comfortable, so I don't blame the fish for wanting to sit there and hang out.
See, I say the same thing. They like sitting there.
Nothing beats it was last year, I think it was, in the fall when Captain Matt Malden was here from the click through, and we went shrimping and through the cast net and pulled up an old motor.
Oh
Like, what
yeah,
in the world? That was so crazy.
in like 15 foot of water.
It was old tiller motor, and it was, mostly corroded to nothing, but I mean, you could still see clear as a bell. It was like a mid 1980s looking old tiller motor, and that would have been a heck of a YouTube video for somebody to take that thing and somehow rehabilitate it and fire it up. But obviously, that's pretty much
Yeah,
impossible.
I
Um,
highly doubt that one.
yeah,
There's not much left on that.
highly doubtful. Speaking of, are the shrimp still hanging out, or is that kind of blown on through and not been as big of a deal as it was the last couple of years?
Um, I don't think it's gotten good yet, personally.
Okay.
But
Please
I
mark
do.
mark the
It,
calendar for a shrimping date because I've got to get back out and do that. That was one of the most fun things that I think I've ever done inshore was throwing that cast net for those shrimp. That was a blast.
it's cool when you get a good catch of them and you're able to have a bunch of buddies over.
Oh yeah, yep. Make up a nice seasoned boil, toss them in there, get some good cocktail sauce, some butter. Oh man, that's just like heaven on earth moment. I don't think anything beats when we got back in Captain Maldwin, who's a chef in his prior life, spun up this deliciously seasoned boil, and we just sat there on the dock and ate shrimp. I mean, I don't think life gets much better than a moment like that where you're with your buddies, you've had a good catch, eating some good shrimp, drinking some ice cold beer, and yeah, I mean that's just good living right there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Nope,
All from our
absolutely.
backyard too. That's the coolest part.
What's that?
I said all happening in our backyard too.
Absolutely. It's just a cool way to truly explore. I always think of like Captain Chris Ludsford with Pleasure House Oyster Company and his oyster farm and his tour that he does on his skiff, and it's just such a cool way to experience all the beauty that our area has to offer. We're a whole lot more than just a shore drive shuffle. So
Yeah.
play on words, obviously.
Oh yes.
Well, I got to get running, Cap, but I'm curious if folks are listening and they want to get out there and either go for some of those inshore species or maybe plan for a good weather day to get out on some nearshore wrecks. What's the best way they can contact you and get booked to do all of the above?
They can go through my Valley Pro account, or they can send me a text or call me at 757-573-9569.
Roger that. Well, it looks like you're getting in the car, probably headed to the marina. So we'll leave you to it. But thanks for hopping on and telling us a little bit about Florida, your great honeymoon time with your new bride, Miss Jamie, and excuse me, Mrs. Jamie, and also just a good high level overview of what's going on in shore and how we can be prepared to be successful. Thank you.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Awesome. Well, folks, you heard it. Give him a shout. Go to his Valley Pro account. I'll leave it in the show notes. But that's going to wrap it up this week. We've got a little bit of a storm system coming through this weekend. It looks like dropping some rain and wind, but hopefully when that clears up on the other side, we'll be able to get out there and get tight on a few fish. So y'all be good out there, be safe, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week. If you're 21 or older and use nicotine or tobacco, it's time you charge ahead to Black Buffalo, America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo dips just like the real thing, but without the tobacco leaf or stem. Get it now at Wawa, Circle K, Sheetz, Love's, Pilot, Racetrack, and many more that you can see on their store locator at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Tobacco Alternative is everything you love about dip, nothing you don't. Serious shallow water anglers count on Stay Put Anchor to do exactly what the name says. Keep smaller boats locked in place. Fast, quiet, and without dropping a heavy, noisy hook. Built in the USA and designed for boats under 24 feet, Stay Put's solid fiberglass pole spikes pair with marine-grade bow, stern, or drill-free motor mounts for quick installation. So more time spent fishing and less rigging. Choose from 6-foot to 12-foot pole options and the versatile super handle to stake out on flats, sandbars, or in the pads. Affordable, dependable, and proven by anglers nationwide. Learn more or build a custom kit at stayputanchor.com. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.